Good Morning Miramar, Tuesdays and Thursdays at 10 a.m., right here, right now.
Good morning, Miramar. Happy Tuesday, June 20th. My name is Danielle Reales.
And I am back like bra straps. My name is Alexis Fox, and welcome to Good Morning Miramar.
We're so excited for today's show. We are taking a stroll down memory lane and looking back at some of the best segments right here on Good Morning Miramar. Before we get into that, we do want to talk to you a little bit about an amazing event that we have coming up right here in the city of Miramar this summer, July 4th. Yes. It is the Miramar at Regional Park Amphitheater grand opening event.
It's going to be exciting. Wear all of your flag paraphernalia, your flag pants, flag hats, dad caps. It's all acceptable on the 4th of July, and we've got some great performers coming to entertain us all in the first performance ever at our brand new state-of-the-art amphitheater at Miramar Regional Park. So
now this amphitheater is really amazing, and it's a sight to be seen. It is an amazing, expansive tent. Thousands of people can sit under it and really enjoy this great concert. Alexis, tell us about the performances that are happening.
There are some wonderful performers coming. We have Kelly Price headlining. We have Wayne Wonder. If you're a 70s disco fan, we have France Jolie, Tavares. We have John Elefante, lead singer of the band Kansas, and we just added Enrique Santiago.
Ooh.
You guys hear that R roll?
I'm
working on it. I'm trying. So there's someone for everyone, and of course we'll always have the kids zone. We will have all of the carnival games, food vendors. There's something for everyone to do, and it's right here in Miramar. So we really encourage you guys to make sure that you come out. Please also note that the parking will be off-site that day, and all of the details on that can be found on our website, MiramarFL.gov.
Now, before we forget, we do want to mention another artist, Miramar resident Wayne Wonder.
Yes,
is also going to be performing. That's going to be really fun and really just create a great vibe for that event. And remember, like Alexis mentioned, it is $5 off-site parking. We are going to be actually shuttling people from the parking area, which is located on Bass Creek Road in between Everglades High School and Glades Middle School right here in Miramar, very close to Miramar Regional Park. So be sure to get all of the details on that at MiramarFL.gov. And we do not want to forget to thank our sponsor for that event, Memorial Hospital Miramar. Thank you so much for sponsoring the 4th of July celebration happening at Miramar Regional Park. Don't miss out. It's from 3 to 9 p.m. So be sure to be there and save the date.
So let's get right into our first segment. Now, we have had a lot of different guests in the entertainment industry on the show, and one of those guests was MC Cheeks, who is a local DJ and also does MCing for a casino, Calder Casino, and he was nice enough to come by and kind of just tell us how he got started on that journey. And he had some really inspirational things to say about just having confidence in yourself and really pursuing your dreams. So we're going to take a look back at some of those moments.
I'd really love to hear from our entertainment entrepreneur, Wilfredo Romero, who is also a Miramar resident. Yes?
Actually, no. I live in Pembroke Pines, but I'm literally a block away. So I'm
away.
I'm in the Miramar family.
Okay, all right. We'll take that. We'll take that until you get to move into Miramar. We'll take that for now. So tell us about what you do, Romero.
Basically, I get on the microphone at the casino I work at, locally Calder Casino, and I'm the voice and the personality of the casino. So whenever they have a car giveaway, a game show, a special event, I get on the microphone, I let everybody know what's going on. I host the game shows, I give away cars. So it's a pretty fun job. Puts you in the spotlight a lot for sure.
How did you get into this?
It was by accident. I was 18 and I started to work at Seminole Casino Hollywood, the one next to the Hard Rock. And I was just the person behind the counter that would give you the little cards that you would put in the machine to track your gaming. And the marketing operation was so small at the time that one day somebody handed me a microphone and they were like, hey, we need you to do this drawing. So I didn't have much of a choice, really. So I picked up the microphone, and next thing you know, somebody said, hey, you don't sound too bad on that. So after that, never really looked back. I've been doing it ever since.
Wow, that's incredible. And how young are you?
I'll be turning 31 at the end of May.
31, wow. And so this is pretty much what you've kind of just settled in as something that you're going to do for the rest of your days, yes?
Yes, I don't plan to walk away from the microphone or public speaking completely. I'm definitely going to take it as far as it can go for myself. I originally wanted to be a teacher, but once I got caught up in this, and once you find a talent, it feels good to do it on a daily basis. And I'm very lucky that I actually found a way to go ahead and do that.
Let me talk about that for a second. You just mentioned that you initially wanted to go the route of being a teacher.
Yes, ma'am.
And so teacher and entertainment MC is a real stretch from each other in terms of careers. So tell us about that and that transition.
I had the idea of being a teacher ever since I was in middle school. Teachers had a pretty decent impact in my life, and they steered me in the right direction. So I wanted to go ahead and do that. And later on in life, I still want to go ahead and get to that. But when you enter the workforce and money starts coming your way, especially if you find a talent that gives you the money and something as lucrative as being an MC, you have to grab that opportunity. So like I said, I want to circle back to it maybe when I'm 40 or something of that nature. But for now, I'm going to be on the microphone and I'll be all over town doing weddings, bar mitzvahs, all sorts of stuff.
With regard to the transition in terms of knowing early on that you wanted to be a teacher and then this kind of fell into your lap, did you have any reservations or fear about, making that transition from what some would consider to be stability in terms of teaching to an entertainment MC? Did you have reservations about that?
I did at some point. Are we going to take the call?
Yeah, we have a call actually.
All right, let's go.
This is probably a call for you. You're listening to Good Morning Miramar.
Hi, good morning.
Good morning. How are you?
I am so good. This is Natasha. Hi.
Hi, how are you? You're live on Good Morning Miramar with our guest, Wilfredo Romero. Do you have a question for our guest?
I do. I think it's just so brave that you switched your career after knowing for so long that you wanted to teach. And I just want to know what obstacles you faced when you decided to start emceeing.
Well, the first obstacle, maybe Natasha can share some of this sentiment, is getting in front of a crowd of people and just communicating effectively is probably one of the more challenging things that anybody can do. There's mass amounts of people out there that are absolutely terrified of public speaking. So the fear can grip you a little bit and it'll constrict your chest, and having to do that on a daily basis for your job really can be tough, especially in the beginning. So I think that was the biggest thing I had to come over to be an effective MC. And I still struggle with it. I feel nervous now, but you just kind of have to accept that being nervous is human and just grab that energy and turn it into something positive.
Excellent. Thank you, caller.
Thank you.
Do you have any other questions for our guest today?
No, you both look amazing.
Thank you. Thank you so much for calling Good Morning Miramar.
Okay, bye.
Bye-bye. So in terms of fear, I always said fear is false evidence appearing real.
Exactly.
And it really, it's amazing how fear can stop you from your destiny, from your true destiny. So talk a little bit about that. And did you have fear and reservations early on? And how did you overcome?
Absolutely. In high school, believe it or not, people used to make fun of the way I would talk. They would mimic me, and so that definitely didn't help me much. But like I said, once you start receiving positive reinforcement from those around you, and you find that confidence, you just take that and you run with it. And as long as you put 100% in, you'll be fine in whatever you do.
Yeah, absolutely. So give our listeners and our viewers an example of something that you might do as an entertainment MC. Like just take a something that you might do at gaming.
Gaming? Well, let's say yesterday we gave away $10,000 in cash. So I was doing pretty much a lotto style promotion and just calling on numbers. I felt like I was on Channel 7 News or whatnot. And towards the end, there was one ticket we had to pull out of the barrel, and that person won a grand prize. So It's weird. I kind of feel like Santa Claus in a way, giving out like big prizes at the casino. So it's a good atmosphere for me, at least at the casino. People associate me with winning big prizes.
Yeah. So do you like change your voice, or you go into a little deeper voice, a little higher voice? What do you do?
I project. Maybe it gets a little deeper, not too much. I don't play with it too much. I just try to be as natural and as clear as possible when I perform.
So in your entertainment MC voice, tell our listeners and our viewers how they can get in contact with you if they'd like to use you for their next event.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, if you would like to book MC Cheeks, go ahead and switch on over to YouTube, search MC space Cheeks. You'll see all my videos there and my contact information.
And that was our interview with MC Cheeks. He really had some great things to say, some gems.
Some gems, definitely. I think I really liked what Natasha said in the interview about fear, false evidence appearing real. What do you think about that, Alexis?
I think that is a great description of fear. I think that fear is something that it's in your head, but we allow it to manifest, right?
Right.
In the way that we choose to react to it or address it. And I think most people tend to use fear as a negative rather than use it to say, you know what, I'm going to actually step outside of this and see exactly what happens. It's the fear of the unknown, and I feel like it should drive you to step out of your comfort zone rather than keep you confined to it.
Right. And he really, MC Cheeks, took kind of a risk, you know, between pursuing, maybe what some would consider, like Natasha said, a stable career in teaching, something that's, your typical 9 to 5.
Right.
You have your benefits, your paid time off, your retirement plan, into something that he's really freelancing and kind of just doing his own thing. And, I think that offers him a lot of freedom in the sense, but, it really also puts him in a position where he has to put himself out there to be a real success.
I think we have all had a moment where we've taken that leap of faith in a sense. So I know that, you and I are fairly new to the city. So at some point we left something in pursuit of what we're doing now and what we're trying to accomplish here with the city. So why don't we talk a little bit about our experiences with just taking the leap into the next step of our careers?
Definitely. I think, like, for me, this show has really provided us, you and I both, a platform to really be creative in a sense, helping with selecting the different guests that we have coming on, people like MC Cheeks and the other guests that we're going to talk about today, and also really, formatting the show in a way that is appeasable to our audience and really getting to know our audience, interacting with them on social media, and really, becoming one with the community and the viewers. So I think for someone like me, this is really an avenue that has been new for me and really a growth and learning experience. But it's been, like I said before, putting yourself out there, really putting yourself at the forefront. So it's scary in the beginning.
These are definitely uncharted waters for us. And, just for the sake of transparency, put that out there. I know we make it look so easy. But it is new and exciting. But I definitely commend you as you've spearheaded the relaunch of this from March, which we'll take a look back at some of those great interviews that you are actually hosting in a moment. And I am so excited to see those because I wasn't here for some of those. So I'm excited to share those moments with you, getting your feet wet, testing the waters. We're excited for it. So let's see which one we have.
Now, without further ado, please allow me to reintroduce Mr. Kingsley Grant. Hello, Kingsley. How are you?
Fantastic, Danielle. It's a pleasure being here this morning.
It's such a pleasure having you here as well. Now, for those of you out there, Mr. Kingsley Grant is an amazing motivational speaker, entrepreneur, and coaches many people on how to transition their careers at any point in their lifetime. So, Kingsley, first, tell us a little bit about yourself and how you got started.
Well, I want to say up front, if you hear my accent, I'm from Jamaica. That's where I was born. And I migrated here almost 40 years ago. So most of my life I've lived here. And throughout the years, Daniel, I realized that there's something more that I really was put on earth for. And throughout life, as you and most people know, as you know, as you're listening, we try to navigate life and try to figure out what that is. And we think we get it at one point, but then things happen. Life happens. We go through transition, whether it's school and kids and work, and we begin to feel there's got to be more at times. And every one of us hit that wall, and we figure out what should we do then? Where do we go? And we need somebody or something to guide us. And for me, I floundered for many years because I have this urge, this desire. But then what happened was not knowing how to do life. And I figure if I could figure that out, if I could find a way to transition in my different areas, then if I could help people to do the very same thing, then I really have a winning combination. So my goal in life, really my passion, is to help people to figure out what their dream, their career is, and to really live that to the fullest potential. Because when they do, the world is different.
That's great and wonderful advice for our viewers. A lot of us nowadays, in order to make those major life changes, there has to be some sort of catalyst. Was there a catalyst in your life that really propelled you to this point in your career? What do you say to our viewers who might be experiencing something similar?
I find that people many times are stuck. They know what they want to do, but just don't know how to go about doing that. And I had to reach back in my own life and ask myself the question, what are some things I could draw from? And having gone through in my early childhood, I had an early childhood molestation. And that for 20 years, I never said anything to anybody. I could not talk to people about that because what happened was, growing up in Jamaica, we just it was very homophobic as the culture was at the time. And so no one really believed your story, so you had to keep things to yourself. And if you opened your mouth, then you probably be blamed for whatever has happened. So you keep that to yourself. For 20 years, I had to keep that. And when I began to talk about that, I realized this is a part of my life which is going to be helpful to help people. Maybe if you're struggling the very same thing, my story might be able to help you navigate that and realize your story can either work for you or against you. I choose to let my story work for me. And then as I went through my life at 44 years old, I realized I needed to finish my schooling. And after working, I put it off for many years. Oh, I'm going to get to it. I don't have the money. I can't do this. And I realized every year goes by, one more year, I'm still singing the same song. And I find that people do the very same thing. Maybe you are singing the same song. I'm going to get to it. I'm going to get around to it. And I never did. But I really decided, I'm going to do it because every year is passing by. So I went back to school, and I learned in that time of my life, I had kids, I had responsibilities. How do you do that effectively? How do you do that smoothly to not disrupt your life in a major way? And that is what most people struggle with. They want to, but how do I do that? So I found a way how to figure out the how, which was for me to go back to school, get my degree, and begin to pursue my career. And then I realized I need to make another change, which I did at my late 40s. By 48, 49, I made another leap again.
And tell us about that leap.
Awesome. Yeah, what happened is that I realized that when I was working for 21 years, that there was something more. I felt I've given everything I needed to have given. I really had satisfied my employers and really the people I was working with. And then I realized, okay, what would that be? So I struggled, but I began to listen to podcasts and audiobooks and being coached and explore that part of my life that I didn't know much about then. I realized, okay, I possibly could transition more smoothly. And what happened, I decided to take the leap. So in 2008, I handed in my resignation letter. People were surprised, wondering, what? Are you crazy? Right. Leaving a secure job. And what is secure? Because tomorrow morning you may not be there. I realized the only security is when I'm doing something that I'm in control of. I can determine what happens, when, how, and where. That's the only thing you can be in control of, because if somebody else is determining your life, you're not in control of that. So I had to decide, what do I want to do for the rest of my life? And so I took a leap and started my company, Helping Families Improve, where I began to help families navigate the struggles of life, the conflicts of life in relationship. And so I became a relationship expert in that area. But there's got to be more. So my entrepreneurial thing kicked in. And I decided, well, I wanted to coach and speak. And my passion is speaking. It's really inspiring people to find hope, to live their dream out, so we can change the world one dream at a time. And that's my passion. So I got into the world of podcasting, and I began to speak at different places. and I began to write. So I'm a speaker who coaches and a speaker who writes. And I began to think about, how do you do this at midlife? So I wrote this book called The Midlife Launch. And really in here, I outline the process, because what happened is we have responsibilities, we have family, and how do you do that where your family doesn't look at you like, are you crazy? What's wrong with you? You know, are you going to put this in a hole? What, you know, are you drinking something? And you have to be able then to help those people understand and bring them along. So I kind of read about that here. And so I made that leap, and I realized that looking back. But here's the thing, Daniel. 6 months after I left my job, 6 months after, I was on my back in the hospital, had an open heart surgery, a quadruple bypass. Wow. I began to think, are you serious? What did I do wrong? Because you begin to process all these things. Did I make a mistake? But thank God I navigated that whole process. And so now I help people understand there's always a way to overcome whatever obstacle you're facing in life. And that's my journey.
Wow. That was actually one of my favorite interviews that we've done here on the show. Really speaking to a little bit of what MC Cheeks had mentioned, you know, that taking that leap of faith that we were talking about a little earlier in the show. You know, he said, Kingsley said something that I really resonated with me, and it's kind of about the excuses that we make. Yeah. Excuses not to push yourself to move forward, excuses to maybe hinder yourself or to hold yourself back. And he overcame so many obstacles as he, you know, told us in a little bit of detail, you know, some of his life experiences and kind of what he went through. Yeah. And he really, like he said, started his career and his life at midlife. He went back to school at 44. Mm-hmm. He really went out on his own later in life, and he has built this vision of success, and he's teaching others how to do it. You know, he's paying it forward. Yes. So tell us what you think about that, Alexis, that paying it forward.
Absolutely. I think, first of all, it's important to note that nowadays, that is the norm, to start your, especially an educational journey later on in life, because as he mentioned, he had kids, he got married, he had other things that, you know, he was like, well, I can wait, right? And, you know, the average age now for somebody getting a bachelor's degree is in the 30s now. So, you know, it just, to me, as somebody who hasn't hit that point in my life yet, as somebody who's still in my 20s, it just lets me know that I'm not on anybody's timeline, that I'm not expected to live up to anybody else's standard or experience other than my own. And the thing that resonated with me that he said was, you know, let your story work for you. Let your story, let your journey be truly yours. And let it be something that you endure and come through in your own way, just as he did. And he really took some lemons and made like Chick-fil-A level lemonade, like just amazing lemonade. So we love to hear things like that as well.
I totally agree with you, Alexis. And, you know, something that you said as well, you know, we're not on anybody's timeline. We're not on anyone's limit. You know, you have the opportunity to kind of write your own story and not let somebody else write it for you. You know, we see now a lot, especially, you know, maybe with people of the younger generation, you know, when you graduate high school, you have to go to college, because if you don't go to college, maybe you're not going to make it, or you're a bum, or you know, you're not really doing something to advance yourself. You know, while I do agree that, you know, college is right for some people, it might not necessarily be right for everybody, and it might, you know, really be something to where a certain person has to have a little bit of life experience before they can take that time to go ahead and take higher education seriously, that like maybe Kingsley went through. Or maybe, you know, someone is just more of a creative and they need to dive into their technical side first before, you know, pursuing that route of higher education. So, and that's just an example.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Of maybe what people have gone through or what they're going through out there. And I really think that, you know, this is a great message for our viewers out there.
It is.
To know that, you know, you can have the opportunity to really pave that way for yourself.
Kingsley really adapted to the ebbs and flows of his life. With every twist and turn, he adapted. And I think it's important in society for us to be able to adapt. We're in a very tech savvy world now. We're having people start their own business from a phone, essentially. And so, you know, to say that college is the only way or the right way isn't necessarily the case anymore. And in the same vein, that same technology is kind of what pressures us into doing certain things, because we see everybody else taking their graduation pictures and decorating their caps and gowns, and we're like, are we missing out on something? So there was a lot of really great lessons in this segment as well as in Wilfredo's segment, and I think these were both really good interviews, and you did a phenomenal job with Kingsley.
Thank you.
So
Thank
definitely
you.
need to mention that. And I think, were there any real takeaways that we should leave our viewers with?
I have one, and it's actually based on something you just said, you know, that what about technology and how we really use that to propel ourselves forward, and how people, like you said, have really started their own businesses on their phone, and we're seeing that. But those might be the things that cause you to compare yourself. So one takeaway that, at least for me, I'm taking from this interview and, you know, this conversation with you as well, and thank you, you know, really not to compare yourself with what you see on social media, because I think social media, people can present themselves in a specific way that might not necessarily be true, or, you know, you might be seeing their view but with that rose-colored filter, if you will, and it might not be
Snapchat filter with the flowers floating. You can't trust that.
Exactly. So, you know, not really trusting everything you see, and really, you know, taking what you see maybe for face value, and saying, hey, you know, I'm not going to compare myself to this person. Obviously, you know, if someone inspires you, and you know, someone like Kingsley or MC Cheeks, who really, you know, motivates you to want to do more for yourself and really pave that way for yourself. But like you said, don't put yourself on somebody else's timeline, and don't, you know, compare yourself in that way. What about you?
I think the running message between both of those interviews was to really believe in yourself and trust your journey. And I think that that's something that can resonate with, you know, you and I, and as well as, you know, the Kingsleys and the in-betweens, the MC Cheeks of the world. Like, no matter what age you're at, you know, just constantly pat yourself on the back when it's needed, give yourself that extra confidence boost, and continue on your journey. And I think that that's a really
Great
good
lesson.
takeaway from that. So we thank you all for joining us today. We will be back on Thursday, and we hope to see you. Thanks so much for tuning in to Good Morning Miramar.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.